Welcome to Gemara Academy. In this class, we will learn Tosfos Dibra Maschil Aval Bein Amudim. Let's begin by looking at the flowchart of the Gemara so we could see what Tosfos is coming to explain. So here in the Gemara we said that according to Rav Dimi Amar Rabbi Yechanan, who says that Bein Amudim, between the pillars, is a carmelis, so certainly the itztaba, the blocks that the merchants would sit on, is a carmelis. But according to Rav Zera Amar Rav Yehuda, that the itztaba, the blocks that the merchants would sit on, is a carmelis. Aval Bein Amudim, but among the pillars, between the pillars, is not a carmelis. Rather, that area is a rishus harabim. So this is the part of the Gemara that Tosfos is coming to talk about and explain. The opinion of Rabbi Zera Amar Rav Yehuda, that between the pillars, that area is not a carmelis. Rather, it's a rishus harabim. So let's see the general outline of Tosfos. The Gemara explains that according to Rabbi Zera Amar Rav Yehuda, between the pillars is a rishus harabim, and Tosfos will address how it can be a rishus harabim if there isn't 16 amas between one pillar and the next. We know that in order to be a rishus harabim, it needs to be the size of 16 amas wide. So how can it be that the area between the pillars is a rishus harabim if there isn't 16 amas between one pillar and the next? So let's see Tosfos now in the flowchart form. The Gemara explains that according to Rabbi Zera Amar Rabbi Yehuda, between the pillars is a rishus harabim. So the whole Tosfos just consists of an arrow, because Tosfos is going to support and explain why it's a rishus harabim and how it can be a rishus harabim. So there's going to be an implicit question in it and an answer, but it's not presented as a question, but rather as an explanation, and that's why it's an arrow. But the text, once again, will be in red and green, since there's a question that's being addressed and an answer that's being presented. And Tosfos says, even though there isn't 16 amas between one pillar and the next, it's still a rishus harabim. So really there's a question here. Why is it a rishus harabim? You need 16 amas. Tosfos is telling us that even though there isn't 16 amas between one pillar and the next, it's still a rishus harabim. And the explanation is there's two reasons that come together to create that it's a rishus harabim. And Tosfos says, since the public walks through there and outside of the pillars it's 16 amas, that's why it's a rishus harabim. So Tosfos is saying that number one, since the public walks through the pillars, it's not so comfortable, but since they're able to walk through the area where the pillars are, and number two, the area adjacent to the pillars, which is the rishus harabim, is 16 amas wide. So these two things come together and they bring about that the area between the pillars is a rishus harabim. So the explanation for how these two things work together, Tosfos is not providing us, but is just laying out the rules, that the reason why it's a rishus harabim, even though there isn't 16 amas between one pillar and the next, is because number one, people walk in that area between the pillars, and number two, the area adjacent to it is 16 amas wide.